Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our review of The Handmaid's Tale, Season 4, Episode 4. Once again, let's talk about titles here for a moment, because this one was entitled Milk. I didn't know where they were going with that. I gotta say, that is not where I thought they were going with that. I did not expect giant vat of milk you could drown in.
I'm glad that that's where they went with it, because milk as a title could go in a lot of different places, as we know from Homelander over on The Boys.
Yes.
If you watch that show, you know what I am talking about. It could have been a lot worse.
That should have actually been the subtitle. Milk, this could have been worse.
Right?
This episode, by the way, it's also a good subtitle for this episode. It could have been worse because it was better, I think, by a decent margin over episode 3.
Yeah.
I still have some questions. I still have some concerns that I have not really put away the complaint box yet. But it's still a pretty satisfying episode. We're at least moving in a direction.
I felt that this was a very satisfying episode, and a lot of it had to do with Janine.
Janine is great.
She's great. It's been a long time coming to really get more background on her, but we'll get more into that.
If you guys think that we're great like Janine, be sure to hit that subscribe button because, we have more Handmaid's Tale discussions coming your way. And you know what? You don't want to miss those.
Also, if you've been at the channel for a while, you may have noticed that there's a little bit of a different setup going on, and the videos are kind of changing as they are going, is because we have moved. We are still trying to figure some stuff out, so thank you for bearing with us through all of this. We really appreciate it.
If you watch all of our videos right now, I like to feel like they tell a story as well. It is like the story of how the studio came together.
That's right.
Stay tuned. All right.
Okay, let's start with sort of the back and forth with June and Janine, because through the first part of this episode, June's really feeling herself, where that sort of hero status, I'm the one that's taking care of everything. Without me, you'd be dead, you'd be lost, I should have left you, you're dragging me down, sort of that feeling has been building up with June. I mean, she's done some incredible things that no one thought could happen here during this reign of Gilead, but June has been able to do that. This episode with Janine sort of brought June down a little bit to understand that she is not just the only hero here. Janine has a lot to offer. She is underestimated a lot. We saw it in her past. We've seen it in her present, what's going on, that she is underestimated. And this episode reminded June and all of us that she should not be underestimated, because she is a lot stronger than people give her credit for.
I sort of, danced around it a little bit in the first 3 episodes, but I'm just going to come out and say it. Janine is my favorite character on this show. I love Janine. I love getting backstory on her. I loved her sort of having her own moments to shine. And yes, June is a hero, and I want to see June have more of these hero moments, but I think there's also such a thing as you can't just get totally just surrounded by your own sort of savior feeling that you have the ability to change the world without, major setbacks, whether they be obstacles, emotional setbacks, things that sort of hold you back a little bit. And I think June needed a little bit of that. And I think June also needed to take a minute here and recognize, yes, she is striving towards great things, but there were a whole lot of people that just died at the end of this past episode, and you can't just gloss over that.
Yeah, which is why I'm glad that Janine had this talk with her to kind of say, listen, these women were following you and now they're dead. And that's, yes, we have to move forward, but it just happened. So can we take a minute here? Because these women truly loved you. Not only did they look up to you, but they truly loved you. And it feels like June is really losing this part of herself.
Here's the biggest question I have from at least the first 15 minutes of this episode. Was that milk scene the worst thing that they have ever filmed on this show? And I don't mean cinematography wise, but if you are Elizabeth Moss and you're going to work and they're like, here's what we want you to do. Number one, that milk had to be very, very cold if that was actually milk. Number two, you're probably in there for like hours on end. You got some milk pruning going on.
Listen, it was totally worth it. That scene was awesome. It was really good. It was terrifying. There was really intense conversations going on in there. It was great.
Yeah.
For all that you two went through, aces. 10 out of 10. I really liked it. It was worth it.
Yeah, that was kind of one of the best parts of this whole episode. I mean, we went in some other different directions with the two over time as they do sort of eventually meet. You know, this new group, which I don't know exactly what to call them other than not Mayday.
Yeah, I mean, they were hoping that this was Mayday, but America is huge, so there's got to be a bunch of different groups trying to figure things out. Some being, trying to rebel, others maybe just like these guys. Seems like these guys are just trying to live and, trading for whatever and stealing whatever just to get by.
Can there be like one group of people within America on The Handmaid's Tale who are not just like awful in some way? Because the moment this dude shows up here, I was just like, okay, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. He's gonna ask something that's terrible and egregious, and as it turns out, it is you guys can stay, but I need a little something in return. And it's just like, oh, here we go again.
Yeah, it was not surprising that he asked for this, because I'm sure that even if you're not part of Gilead and you're somewhere else in America where you're not part of that and you're here trying to survive, you've heard the tales of the handmaids and sort of the wives and the commanders and what is going on. But you don't exactly know what's going on, because he thinks that it's something else, that all they are is about doing it. That he doesn't understand what is actually going on in these relationships and these, abuse and these things that are happening. It is so bad. And even when he said, oh, you guys are this group of people that all you do is put out for people, he knows that it's wrong.
Yeah.
And so when he kind of said, okay, yeah, I'll trade you some clothes and I'll trade you some food, but what are you going to give me? June thinks that she can give herself, meaning like, I'm a warrior, I will help, I will get supplies, let's go on a supply run, like we're on The Walking Dead, I can fight, I can do it all. And he's just like, yeah, but I know what you were doing in Gilead, so one of the two of you is going to stay with me and do that for me. And then we saw that June just couldn't do it, and then made the decision for Janine that they were leaving. Just straight up said, no, not happening, we're just going to get out of here. And I love that Janine was the person then, again, underestimated, that decided that she was willing to go through with this, to deal with this, so that she can get them food. And June is not the only person that is sacrificing.
Yeah.
Janine has sacrificed throughout this show. And she has been able to sort of meld into different situations in the way that June has not been able to, and actually no one else has really been able to. Because even when we look sort of back with her relationship with Aunt Lydia, she really plays into that sort of, oh, I'm just sort of the weak handmaid. Thank you, Aunt Lydia. And Aunt Lydia gives her stuff for playing into that role to be able to get through this stuff. It has helped her, even though she has done some stuff that Gilead was like, no, you're going to be, in huge trouble for it. Aunt Lydia would go to bat for her.
I think Janines Strength is malleability. I think she shows that again in this episode. The thing that I just don't like, that this is the thing that this guy wanted. And I'm not saying that, clearly, there are people out there in the real world who are like this. I'm not going to pretend like there isn't. It felt to me like a more compelling thing to do would have sort of been, because this guy's clearly not a part of Gilead. So if I was him in his head, I would be like, I don't want to be like these other people who are monsters. I want to try to find a different way. And I think they wanted to obviously have Janine have this hero moment where she sort of makes the sacrifice and, like you said, shows that she is more than capable. I think there are other ways that they could have had that happen and still gotten that same message across. I'm glad that June recognizes, she sees her a little bit more, even though she doesn't know what happened with Janine and some of those flashbacks that we had a chance to see.
Yeah, it was kind of weird that specifically is what he asked for, in the way that he spoke about them, that he knows sort of the rumors of what they've gone through. Even when he was with June, he's like, I'm not going to force you. It's like, yeah, but you are. It's sort of that old saying from back in the 60s, if you're hitching a ride with someone, you're going to give gas, grass, or the A word to people. We're not going to get demonetized in this video. But it's such like a strange old sexist thing that would happen back in the day. But now it's like, no, you're only giving the A word and you can't offer anything else. Yeah. Which is still kind of also, it's just really strange that that's all he wanted.
I mean, I'm interested to kind of get to know this sort of community that's around this guy, and it seems like they don't have a lot of food.
I am not. He has got to go.
Well, this is where I am with it. If I'm already out on that dude, I'm curious if everybody else is gonna be like, because if this entire group is just gonna be so one note and awful.
No, it can't be like that where it's Steven is the new Negan and he's got 20 wives, or all the women have to be with him if they want to have a little bit of food, or what. Like, this version of America is already the worst for women, that even if you get out of Gilead, it is still the worst for women. Like, can't there be anything else that's happening there right now? Just something?
I hope so. And if they're gonna stay at this, whatever this is, for a little while, I hope we see what that is, because I do not want Gilead 2.0 just under a different name and all, and with him being like, oh, it's voluntary, but it's also sort of
but it's not.
Yeah, because what are you gonna do if you don't do it?
Yeah, so Janine does decide that she's going to do it. She is going to take one for the team. She is going to be the champion and make the decision to get them food, which, it's a tough decision. But even when she's sitting down, she's eating her bread, she's like, he thought my eye patch was cool. She's trying to make the best of the situation in a way that June was completely unable, and would have had them on the run with no food when Janine was about to pass out from no food. So I'm hoping that going into the next episode that they get strong enough with the food that they have, that they are going to leave, but that the dynamic between them is going to change, and that June will have much more respect for Janine because she deserves it, and she's long deserved it.
Yes, and I feel like, in a way, this episode is sort of about people standing up for themselves, because you get into what's going on over here with Serena and Rita, and Rita makes an interesting decision in this episode. I ain't about this anymore. I'm going to head out.
10 out of 10 for Rita in this episode. It was so good. It was very bold of Serena to try to get Rita to work for, getting this testimony and trying to help her, that she only had to do things under duress, and Rita will testify for that. And then you've got Fred on the other side. Oh, I was really good to you. And she's just like, we're not friends. I was registered like my Kia or Nissan or whatever. I was not your friend. I was not part of your family. I was, a commodity. I was something that was bought by you.
Anything that involves just making Fred sad, I am all about it. And so, Rita, I appreciate you so much for this episode. Serena, she's just so manipulative with her whole, you know what he did to me. You know how bad that, who things were really bad for? Rita. That is the real truth here.
Yeah, and it was really good to see her standing up to both of them. The moment that I actually liked the most with her is when she was sitting in her little apartment, sitting at her table, pulling apart her chopsticks, and just having a little bit of sushi with the sun shining in on her with a big smile. It was just such a satisfying moment to see that Rita got there.
This is sort of the larger question I have, is that where exactly is this story for Serena and Fred going? Are we just like building to some sort of, I don't know, trial or back and forth debate between the two of them? Because yeah, it's like their storyline existed this time mostly just to let Rita have this moment. Are we just going to have a number of people just doing the metaphorical, haha, I'm free from you guys the rest of this season?
No, there's going to have to be some sort of trial. I'm wondering if one or both of them are just going to flip and be part of Canada or be sort of a double agent and then get turned and put back into Gilead to try to gather information or do whatever. I hope there's a bigger story than just this. I don't want to see a trial. I am not interested.
Okay, if you're gonna have to bring somebody back to Gilead, just bring Serena, leave Fred there, and then we never have to see Fred again. Like that is where I land.
And it's interesting because I had kind of wondered if Fred would do better back there because, well, one, he's a man and men get more information, but also I wonder if Gilead... at first I thought it was maybe the men were telling the wives that they were infertile so that they could bring in the handmaids and be like, this is why, sort of thing. But now I'm kind of wondering if Gilead was also telling the commanders that maybe they were unable as well. And now he's kind of like, okay, so that's also a lie.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Fred's gonna have some sort of awakening here, but Fred, you ain't getting the benefit of the doubt here in this situation. You've gotta stand up and sort of speak what your truth is now, Fred. Because I will be fine if you leave. Go somewhere off the other side of the horizon. I don't like anything about you. Goodbye. Okay. That is my feelings about Fred as a character.
He's a 0.
He is a 9. He is a minus 10 out of 10. Fred. You even gotta say it with disdain. Fred. All right.
Listen,
well,
Serena is not great either.
No. I give her
Serena.
Yeah, Serena also deserves that. It's just Serena, you were in Chuck, so I give you a little bit more leniency only because of that. But you guys gotta get somewhere with this story.
Yeah.
All right. Well. What did you guys think about The Handmaid's Tale Season 4, Episode 4? Do you love Janine? Do you hate Fred? Let us know in the comments. And if you do like this video, subscribe, give us a like, support us further. Check those links to the store, our Patreon. We will see you here next time.